Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we have a lot to cover today. So we could see that PayPal stock is down this morning. We have a lot of stocks that reported earnings. We can't forget about AMC. We could see Tom has the chart pulled up here, but we have some of the bigger names like AMC that is definitely downtrending. Palantir is kind of doing the same thing. They just got smacked from their earnings report, and it wasn't even bad. And we can't forget about Roblox, which just went to the moon yesterday, and they're actually right at an all-time high. Their revenue doubled in the third quarter, and they're exploding. And I have a feeling this one will be one we definitely want to watch for not only today, Tom, but like with the metaverse, maybe like even over the next couple years.
Yeah, definitely. And they're a big holder in that Metaverse ETF. Well, I should say that the Metaverse ETF is a big holding of Roblox, but either way, Roblox is like the third highest weighting in that ETF, which is just crazy to me. And I think Roblox will be pretty good for the future. Obviously, they're popping up right now, which is great to see. I know that they've been moving pretty parabolically the past year. You know, they flew up to 100 and then they've just been going all over the place. But I'm glad to see them get this big pop up. And you know, they did make a new all-time high yesterday in after hours, which was pretty crazy to see. I don't think people were expecting that one.
Yeah, like I didn't even realize it until you pointed it out, but we're about to see a huge gap on this chart when the market opens in like 30 seconds or so. So that's crazy. But speaking of like stocks making all-time highs, you know, we can't forget about Nvidia. Like this thing just keeps on going. This is another one that has a lot to gain with the metaverse, but also with like cryptocurrencies and just like, you know, this is the world in general. Like Nvidia is just, it's a powerhouse, and they're just going crazy.
Yeah, they lead that GPU market. It's crazy to see them continuing to make these all-time highs every single day. Like, man, I get it. Like at this point, it's like, I understand Nvidia. Like we already know you're the powerhouse. Like this has been a crazy move here. I know Tesla's been kind of moving up too, and maybe not today, but over the past couple of days, they've been looking pretty decent, which has been at least good. You know, Nvidia's kind of been following some of these other stocks up to these new highs, and it's just been a very nice past couple of days for these bigger tech stocks.
Exactly. So let's take a look at Roblox. I know a ton of people have their eyes on it. Like you look at that daily chart and it's crazy. Like this giant gap out of nowhere. It looks like we definitely are seeing some profit taking right at open, which I guess you can say is expected when you're up 30% just in one day, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, they have resistance right around $105. That is the new all-time high. So, you know, if we do see a breakout, watch for 105.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be the level to look for this morning for RBLX. I know that they're pretty big. I know that they're pretty hyped up, Mike. I know lots of people were talking about them the last time they were at like $100 a share. So hopefully the hype comes back in, and look at this momentum actually come in here at open with this 1 minute candle. That red candle turned right back around, and who knows, we might be at 105 in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, well, I just want to welcome everyone to the stream really quickly. So thank you guys so much for being here. Welcome Mac, Lion, Whitney, Gabriel, Vicky, Shelly, I'm Fierce, J-Trade, Jesse, Rick, Jamie, George, Hunter, Alex, Bill, and Kumar. Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys know the drill. Let us know what stocks you're watching. We'll definitely take a look at them. But we have Shelly saying, good morning, levels to watch on Nvidia, please. So I know a lot of people also have this same question. So Tom, what levels do you have for us?
Yeah, it's going to be a little hard because they're at that all-time high. So I'm seeing a pretty big resistance here, right around like 325 on the intraday chart. There's definitely a resistance at 325 to like 327. You can see it bounce right around there a few different times. So definitely eye up right around 325 at the top. I would say at the bottom, it looks like there's a little bit of intraday support here, right around $320 even. But honestly, I would go below that and kind of look at right around like 314 to 315 as being a good support. You know, with the way that they've been popping up, I would not be surprised if they just pulled back a little bit here at open.
There we go. Also, welcome Mike to the stream. It's great to have you. But Tom, I know that we're seeing a bunch of stocks moving. I know that you know, there's a lot going on in the market right now. You know, we're so close to all-time highs. We still have a lot of earnings coming up. Like, what are some of your like favorite setups right now, or like some of your like most anticipated like earnings releases, or you know, what are you watching?
One of my favorite setups right now is actually DraftKings. They're actually recovering up pretty well from earnings. They initially had a pretty bad earnings report. They fell down, but they did recover right back. And I'm glad to see them holding their ground. And I hope that for today and for the next couple of days, DraftKings can start to really get back up there. I really think that they're at awesome longer term levels right now. Like if you missed the dip last time, whenever they were at $45 back in July, or you missed the dip back in May, now's a great time to pick up shares. Of course, they might keep going down here in the short term with that bad earnings report, but I feel like that in the longer term, DraftKings will do pretty good. It's just a great time to at least start to average into shares. So I just wanted to throw that one out there. But one of my favorite setups today, Mike, has actually been Netflix. They've been kind of dipping down over the past couple of days, and it looks like they're recovering up pretty strong today. I'll definitely be eyeing them up for a little bit of a recovery.
There we go. And then can we pull up that earnings chart? Because I know that we do have a couple big ones later today. Yeah, so Neo, Coinbase, Upstart, Plug, Unity, DoorDash. We have a pretty exciting day in the after hours, so that should be fun. Looking at Unity, they're actually exploding up, and this is like another metaverse stock.
Yeah, people have been talking pretty highly of this one for the metaverse as well, and they're about to be at new all-time highs, actually. They're about to break that high from back in December, almost a year ago. So awesome movement from Unity. I'm glad to see them getting up there. I feel like I missed the dip on this one, Mike. This has been a pretty good stock for the past, I could say like 6 months or so on this recovery. But man, this metaverse news is really making some of these stocks start to fly up. Unity should be pretty good ahead of earnings. That's going to be a very interesting earnings report. I would not be surprised if they ended up at all-time highs. I'm not going to play the earnings, but in the end, I feel like they could be pretty good. One of my big ones, Mike, that I've honestly been eyeing up is, of course, NIO. I mean, they've been so big lately. Their earnings are usually pretty key as well. Like they're going to talk about probably different delivery numbers and stuff like that. Hopefully they get a nice boost because they've been recovering up as well. And if those earnings go south for NIO, that would not be a good sign in the short term.
True that. And at the same time, we have like Lucid and Tesla exploding. So I definitely hope that Neo does pretty good. Lucid was looking really good this morning, but it looks like there's just a little bit of selling pressure coming in right at open.
Yeah, and you know what? I honestly have been waiting for this one for Lucid for a few days now. They've just been really flying up, really starting to break these all-time highs. And, well, not all-time highs, but I should say highs of the past, like, 3 months or so. It's just been a very nice move to the upside. And I would not be surprised if it kind of consolidated, kind of like what we're seeing here, even for the next couple of days. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we retested the 44 support and then just held its ground.
Gotcha. All right. So we have Jay saying, any thoughts on TTD? So TTD has been like flying up, but honestly, I haven't heard much about it. It just doesn't have that like hype factor that like a Lucid or Tesla or Nvidia has. But either way, it's exploding up. It looks like the all-time highs are just under $100, like $97 or so. So that definitely will be resistance. But besides that, it's running up with a ton of momentum and doesn't look bad for like a short-term play.
Yeah, and they actually had that 10-to-1 split a while ago. And if they didn't have that split, they'd be at like $930 a share right now. This has actually been I know that TTD has been a pretty crazy stock for the past couple of years. They had that bad dip there on that bad earnings a while ago, but the recovery's been very nice. And, they're kind of reminding me of Unity or some of those stocks, Mike. I feel like it might be at all-time highs pretty soon with the way that this earnings report went.
Yep. All right, so we have Sean saying Twitter with the rocket emoji. So Twitter's not looking bad right now. I actually, I think I saw a couple $1 million flow into some call options on it yesterday. I don't remember the exact strike. It might have been like the 55 strike or the 56 strike, and that expires in maybe like a year or two or something like that. But either way, it's definitely holding its ground, and I really hope it pops up for you.
Yeah, I hope it does too. Look at the way it's moving right now. If this ends up being a pretty good bottom support level here and we start to see a break of the 55 resistance, I could see this stock doing pretty well, Mike. And, we're starting to see Facebook and some of these other stocks. I think Snapchat even, yeah, you can see Snapchat's kind of recovering up a little bit too. But the mainly Facebook with the metaverse news has been popping up pretty well. Hopefully Twitter starts to get that momentum back. They've had a pretty bad past month here. And once they broke below that like $60 support, it just does not look good. So hopefully they start to get back up there. I think that they can, to be honest. It kind of looks like a pretty nice upswing. And it looks like the IV might start to be rising back up a little bit too.
Here we go. So let's just do a check-in in the market overall. Like, how's the SPY looking? Like, I still know that we're really close to that all-time high, but it seems like over like the past couple trading days, it's just been like nothing really like happening.
Yeah, it's just been lingering around. You can see on the daily chart just some very small, like red candles up there with very minimal movement. And as we can see today, we did open up around the all-time high, but once again, we're just kind of going flat, kind of like we saw yesterday. We saw a little bit of a pop-up in pre-market, and then throughout the trading day, we just traded slightly lower. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough day today. I feel like with Nvidia and some of these other stocks continuing to push to new highs, that the market has a good chance to go up. But at the same time, there is a lot of stocks actually red on my watch list. I have BLNK actually down 7%. I have Palantir down like 7%. Tilray's down, Plug's down, Delta Airlines are down. They're not having a good day. Disney's even having a red day again. So I don't know. It's really mixed. I feel like the market's been so mixed the past couple of weeks with the way that these earnings have been going. Like, sometimes we'll wake up and these stocks have just been gapping down like crazy. Like we're seeing AMC start to have big moves down on earnings. And so far, like today, the earnings have not been going too well. But, over the past week, it's been really 50-50. Like some stocks have been flying, some stocks have been dying. So I don't know. I feel like that it's just been the earnings, Mike. But in the end, there's lots of different factors.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm looking at my watch list. It's pretty split, kind of like you said. Like we have, Palantir down 6%, and then at the same time we have, certain stocks like Nvidia just exploding up. So very interesting overall.
Yeah, it is. And it's really this. I said, I think it's mainly the earnings right now causing some of these bigger swings. Like Tesla had great earnings and they started moving to the upside. Unfortunately, Tesla's going down again, though, with Elon Musk making those crazy comments the other day, or having that crazy Twitter poll, I should say, about selling 10% of his stock. Like, man, you just never hear of like these bigger guys doing stuff like that. And honestly, I remember he got in trouble for talking about taking Tesla private a while ago, Mike, at a certain funding level. I'm honestly surprised the SEC didn't get onto him about selling his shares here.
Right? Yeah, you gotta love Elon. He's so like unpredictable, but it's entertaining. So very funny. And then we have Mike saying, "What's going on with Palantir? They had good earnings and guidance." So yeah, like I was actually reading through part of their earnings, and it was pretty good overall. We could see that they also had pretty good guidance. It's not like they blew earnings out of the water, but like it wasn't bad. I know that their EPS was struggling a little bit, but besides that, it was pretty good earnings overall. And yeah, we're seeing the stock sell off. There's not really like a major reason for this. Sometimes we'll see a company report terrible earnings and the stock's up 20%. And then sometimes you see some pretty good earnings and the stock's down. Like it just kind of sucks to see because there's not like any like major like reason for this.
Yeah, and we've been waiting for Palantir for a long time now to start to rise. And man, I've been thinking as we started to get up to these resistance levels again, we might finally get a breakout here with earnings. But once again, it just has to end up going down. Looks like we hit off that 2750 resistance and ended up coming down off of that level again. There's another big resistance up here around $29.50 to $30. I don't know, Palantir has been so tough the past couple of months. It's just been very unchanged almost. Like it's just been very slowly consolidating and going up. And honestly, I was really waiting for this earnings, Mike. I was really hoping that we would get a nice move, but as we can see, it just did not play out the way we wanted for Palantir. But in the longer term, I feel like Palantir will be better to grab shares anyways. So I don't feel like that. I feel like for the longer term holds, it's not too big of a worry. And we didn't really fall down and break any major supports yet. So that's a good sign there.
Yeah, and like I feel like with Palantir, the way to go is either like long-term options with like, like a ton of time or just buying shares because, this short-term movement is just so unpredictable and it's crazy and it's just so hard to trade. So I just feel like the best way to go is just like you make an investment in them, whether it be leaps or shares, and just like forget about it.
Yeah, I think that's the smartest way to go too. I think shares is always a really smart way. Obviously leaps is really smart. I just feel like with the way Palantir is moving right now, it might be a little scary, but either way, as long as you get enough time, like you said, like as long as you go out maybe to January of or yeah, like January of 2023, or even maybe like July of 2022, I feel like that might be enough time there.
Yep. All right, so let's see. We have Kumar saying, any thoughts on bank stocks? So let's take a look at them. We can see Bank of America is doing decent overall. JP Morgan, kind of like the same setup. They're all basically in the same setup right now. There's just not really like any, how do I word this? Like there's not really any hype with them at all. Like you have Nvidia and Tesla and Lucid, running with like good momentum and hype. Bank stocks, it's just not there, and that's not a bad thing. It's just something to know. So honestly, they're just like an okay setup right now. Like I'd rate this JP Morgan setup like a 5 out of 10. It's just like okay, there's nothing great about it. I'm sure it'll be fine for the long term, but for like any like short term movement, like any time for like the next day to like the next like month or two, I'm just neutral on it. There's not really any strong trend, especially lately, in either direction. So I'm just neutral on it.
Yeah, and I feel like that a lot of it's going to have to do with like the Federal Reserve over the next couple of months, and how they're going to tackle like rates and different stuff. I know that they talked about that it's going to be a while before rates get raised, possibly well in next year. And they're talking about obviously they just started doing the asset purchasing, like they just started tapering. So I feel like that over the next few months, the Fed's going to have a big impact on these banks. And I think we'll just have to see how it goes because, JP Morgan's around all-time highs. Like obviously if the rates go up and the banks like it, we'll start to see these banks start to fly up. But that's just, I feel like it's going to be really interesting, over the next like 6 months as these rates start to go up. And I know that they haven't talked about the rates going up much yet, but they have talked about doing it more in the future.
Yep. All right. So let's see. We have George saying Nvta, beloved by Kathy, is also very down after earnings. So I didn't even see this one. I don't follow it too much, but yeah, it looks like it's down big time. I have not read the earnings report just yet, but maybe if you want to hold it, it might not be bad to sell some puts on it. If it's down 15%, it's only a $22 stock. IV isn't too high, but still, the stock's down 15%. So if you wanted to sell some cash secured puts, you could probably sell, let's see, if you go out to like December, you can sell like the 20 strike for like just under $100, which isn't bad for, a $20 stock.
Yeah, that's really not too bad. And, that did have a pretty bad gap to the downside. And it's always good that Kathy likes it. That's a good sign. Their EPS definitely came in a little bit worse than expected, but I don't know. I didn't really read the earnings too much. I've actually never heard of this company before. I'll definitely have to look into them, though, if Kathy's holding.
Yep. All right, let's see. We have Alex saying, need some yeast in bake. Palantir again so that it can rise. I'm with you. I'm with you for sure. It's just it just has no momentum. Like, it needs some hype. The earnings weren't even bad, so it just sucks to see. But like we said, like if you get some shares or maybe some like long-term options and just hold on to it, I have a feeling we'll see something that's similar to Lucid's chart. So if we look at like a daily chart of Lucid, they just did nothing for months, right? Like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then like in literally like I guess you could say like a 3-week time span or like even like a month's time span, it just went crazy. And I feel like we're going to see the same exact thing with Palantir. And the part that sucks is like you can't really like predict those like explosive movements that happen in like a week. So, if you just get some shares and hold, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, and there was that, like you said, you just can't predict it because whenever Lucid started exploding, they came out with good news about their 500-mile range batteries. And of course, maybe some insiders know something, but obviously most people out here don't. And whenever we're looking at it, I feel like that we've seen a lot of stocks start to break out, like Lucid, Mike. Enphase was kind of consolidating for a long time. They recently had a huge breakout to the upside. It looks like Corsair is one that's down there waiting for a breakout. We've seen stocks like RUN starting to break out. PLUG has been kind of running up pretty strong. And I feel like you said, you just can't predict like when they're going to have that run. But, when they do, they finally start to break out. Like, look at Plug down here. It was really consolidating around that $25 support, looking a lot like Palantir, actually, just not doing anything. And then we finally got that nice movement that we needed. And I feel like that's definitely coming for a few of these other stocks like Palantir and some of the others. Obviously, earnings is going to set it back a little bit now, but like, let's be honest, like we've seen Palantir just rocket up way more than it fell down today. So I feel like that there's definitely a good chance for a good reversal. And like we said, Mike, the best way to go, honestly, is probably just going to be to sell some puts, get some shares, or get some leaps, because when it does start to go up, you'll probably be sad that you're missing the boat.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's see. We have Jamie saying, any thoughts for calls in January for cruise lines? So I like it. I like RCL the best. CCL is like my second favorite. January is good, but honestly, I would get more time. It never hurts to get more time. They've been in like the cruise lines are looking good right now, but they're kind of like a pain in the butt to trade, because like they'll be on like a great uptrend and then they'll be like DraftKings, like they'll just go on like this couple week or couple month downtrend. So if you got more time, that would be ideal. Or maybe if you wanted to go in January, maybe turn it into like a call debit spread or something like that. But overall, I think the setup's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. And, we've been retesting this resistance a lot, and I feel like we'll finally get a breakout eventually. If it's not right now, maybe in a month or two. But either way, I feel like that they have a good potential to recover up over the next couple of years anyways. I feel like averaging into shares, you just can't go wrong with them. They might go down in the short term, but like I said, over the next couple of years, and especially I feel like this next summer, I feel like they're going to do pretty good.
All right. Let's see. We have Carlos saying, can you guys check IWM for the long term? Thanks. Absolutely. So I do like it. It's the Russell 2000, so you can't really go wrong with it. It has uptrended in a great way over like the past couple years, which is awesome to see. It's good in the sense that it doesn't really like follow like these bigger names too much, but then it's also bad in that sense. So like if you see Apple and Nvidia and Amazon exploding, you're not really going to get any of those gains with holding the Russell. So it all depends on what you want. So if you can find exposure to some of those bigger stocks in a different way, that can be fine. But as long as you understand what it's following, it's pretty great, and it's done very well over the past couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Some things that I like to do, Mike, is I like to look at these bigger ETFs, or I shouldn't say ETF, but bigger indices like the Russell, like the S&P 500 and stuff like that. And I'll just sometimes pick out my favorite companies out of there and then just make my own smaller ETF. But you know what I mean? Just kind of pick out the ones that you like. And you don't always have to get IWM. You can just kind of build your own. But I was just kind of throwing that out there. If you don't like everything in there, you can just kind of pick and choose your own. Like if you only like 50 out of the 2000, just make your own with those 50 then.
Exactly. Exactly like Tom said, like if you just look up like IWM holdings, you'll see what they're holding, and you can just pick and choose what you want if you didn't want to buy the whole ETF. And nowadays, like with the fractional trading, like you can like match it pretty well. So for example, if you want to invest, let's say $1,000 into this investment, you can invest like $75 into a stock, even if it's trading for like 300. You know what I mean? Like with the fractional shares. So it's just something to keep in mind. But definitely great information, Tom, and great question, Carlos. But Tom, we have L saying Tesla's in the red again. So it looks like more selling pressures coming in. Looks like that Elon tweet kind of stopped the uptrend, at least for now. But we know how Tesla is.
Yeah, definitely. It might go down for a few days, but definitely look for some consolidation. I don't know how far we'll drop, but let's kind of go like onto a 90-day, 15-minute chart and maybe see if we can find some like good areas of support or something like that. It looks like, honestly, I'm seeing like right around $1,100 looks like a pretty good support there. Yeah, that looks pretty decent right there at 1,100. Looks like there might be another support actually kind of like right around where the stock is right now, like right around 1120 or 1122. So definitely eye it up, but definitely going down right now. I feel like we might head down towards $1,100 today, or even a little bit lower towards 1050 if we break that. But that news with Elon was crazy with him selling his shares. I mean, honestly, like I think he knew that was going to bring in some selling pressure. I don't know who he had buy the puts, but I want to know who bought them. And that's all I want to know.
Oh gosh, I mean, nothing beats that one time where it was like we saw, I don't know, a couple million in like Tesla puts being bought, and then like the next day Elon just like Tesla stock is overvalued in my opinion.
Yeah, like who says that about their own stock on Twitter the day after, like I think it was like 20 million went into it, wasn't
It
it?
was crazy. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And that's some crazy stuff, guys. Like that big money is so awesome to follow. Like sometimes if you catch it right, it can make for some awesome plays. But man, these some of these bigger guys, like they make it pretty obvious sometimes, and sometimes they get away with it, like Elon did. But in the end, maybe he wasn't, maybe he wasn't really doing anything. But the way that some of these stocks move with the options that we see, man, you would just have to think that there's some insider trading going on. Like I can't remember what it was just a couple of days ago. Maybe it was like an earnings play, but sometimes we'll see, maybe it was Chegg even, but sometimes we'll see like some people just buy some puts like right before earnings, and then the stock just tanks down like, 20% or something, or goes up 20%. But the main thing is it's not just a little bit of puts. It's like they're buying like millions of dollars worth, and before earnings, that's so risky.
Yeah, for sure. So Hunter said it was like 32.5 million, he thinks. So yeah, it was a crazy amount, and that like Tom said, following that smart money is normally a pretty good idea. So definitely good stuff there. We have Matt saying NEGG is coming back down, relating to previous video. So yeah, NEGG is down 22% today. It's one of those very risky stocks. We could see like over the course of the year, it's had a ton of upwards and downwards movement. It's down like 22% today. IV's also falling. So definitely be very, very careful if you plan on trading their options, because the IV's at like 167%.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, man, it's a definitely a crazy play right now. Definitely watch out for NEGG. I don't know what to think about it, Mike. Like it had that crazy move up out of nowhere almost. Like I wasn't even seeing any good news really coming out about it. Even on Thinkorswim, it said the stock's moving without any major news. So I guess it was just flying up on the hype there, but hopefully the hype comes back. I'd like to see new eggs start to go up. And I'll be honest, they went up earlier this year with all that AMC hype and stuff, but I honestly really like the company. I think that they're pretty decent. They're an e-commerce website. They sell like graphics cards and computer equipment and stuff. Go check it out if you guys haven't at newegg.com. It's pretty cool. But in the end, I feel like it could be a pretty good stock, especially heading into the holiday season.
All right, so let's see. With the next comment, we have Alex saying thoughts on Moderna. Has a lot of gaps to the downside that needs to fill. Yeah, I mean it's definitely downtrending a decent amount. I'm with you. It definitely does have some more room to go down. It's just one thing to really, really keep in mind is like this company has been exploding over the past year, and it's not like it's for nothing. Like they are one of the leading vaccine stocks in the world, and it's just there's a reason we're seeing this run up. So even though that it does have a lot of gaps to fill to the downside, just keep in mind that they have like crazy news right now, and obviously they've grown so much over the past 2 years. So just keep in mind we're going to see a lot of natural like buying pressure still flow into this one. So just keep that in mind while you're looking at the charts. But it does look like we have a pretty big support right at like $200 or so, and then it looks like pretty big resistance at 250, and then another support right around like 212 or so. So definitely keep those levels on your radar, but at the same time, just keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of natural buying pressure flowing into this one.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll be honest, I feel like, personally to me, like a lot of the gaps have already been filled. Like a lot of the major gap to me I was looking at was like 245 to like 300. Obviously, there was a really large gap right there, and we did end up filling that. So now that we filled that, I feel like we could end up possibly going down again, maybe to 170. But I'm kind of more with Mike. I feel like that there's a bigger support like right around 200, and the way that we bounced off of 210 a little bit ago, I feel like that might pose a pretty big support down there. Like if we go look at the 15-minute, you can see how significant that bounce was, like right around 210.96. I think that might pose a pretty good support.
Yeah, so just keep in mind, like, there's definitely money to be made on Moderna. You just have to do it in a strategic way. Keep in mind their options are pretty expensive, so you're going to want to go at the money or at least close to it. And you're probably going to want time too, because now it seems like a lot of the volatility is past, but there's still money to be made. You just need like more time in the options. And if we're being realistic, you'd probably want like a spread of some sort, whether it's a credit or a debit spread. If you're bearish on it, instead of buying like a put that's, what, $40 out of the money, maybe you buy like a put that's $20 out of the money, and you short a put that's $70 out of the money, and you do a spread like that has a month or two. It should be fine, but just keep that in mind. But we have Hunter coming in all caps saying Tesla falling off a cliff. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it really is. Finally broke that support there around 1120. We fell through 1100, actually all the way down to 1050. What a crazy move and crazy break of support. Leave it up to Elon to come in and say he's going to sell his stock. I mean, man, crazy stuff there. I don't know what, honestly, I don't know what he was thinking putting that out in the public like that. But either way, crazy movement out of the stock. And I could definitely see it continuing to go down here, at least for, maybe not today, but for the next couple of days. The move today has already been crazy. I mean, obviously we're going to continue here, but I don't know how much lower we're going to go today, Mike. We're already down 10%. I mean, wow, what a sell-off. We're down as much as Elon said he was going to sell.
Wow. And then Elon's brother just sold $110 million in Tesla stock. I don't know if you saw that, but that just came in through the news on Thinkorswim. That's not good. Tons of volume coming in. This is huge.
Yeah, definitely not good. Look at the Tesla brothers taking profits at all-time highs. Like, give it up to them though, honestly, for picking the top there. But wow, I mean, create the selling pressure. I mean, this is getting absolutely crazy. Down to 1032 now. We were just at 1050 a minute ago. It's just it's going all over the place, Mike. It's once we broke 1100, it just got parabolic.
And then at the same time, we have George saying the SPY's fallen too. So it looks like it's not just Tesla with this selling pressure.
Yeah, it's not. It looks like Tesla's actually dragging down some of these other stocks. And I'll tell you what, man, these other stocks like BLNK are now down 13%. We're seeing Lucid even down 6% now after having a great pre-market. Like, man, these stocks are turning around. Even NIO, look at poor NIO heading into earnings today. Man, it just, this move honestly turned around these growth stocks, which was not a good sign. Obviously the safer stocks like Netflix, Kraft Heinz, like KHC, like those stocks are pretty much unchanged right now, like Triple M. But man, these more volatile stocks today, like Palantir, AMC, Lucid, FUV, Tilray, you name it, it's in the red right now pretty significantly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just still looking at that Tesla chart. It's not looking good. Like, not looking good at all. A lot of other stocks are falling, like Tom said. Like, actually, like on my screeners, like I'm only seeing stocks to the downside. Like, there's not even too much upwards momentum right now. Like, even Nvidia this morning, it was looking really, really good, but even that just totally totally changed direction.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, it's just starting to really fall off. It's just a very strange day in the market, to say the least. Like, you would think that we would have some pretty like I would have thought maybe we would have had a nice move to the upside today with the overall market. But man, Tesla just, it seems like they just really brought in some selling pressure. And unfortunately, we even have the bigger ones like Nvidia, like you mentioned, going down, and it's just not a good day. Like, it's just definitely the sellers came in, and I feel like it's just people taking profits here at highs. Like, obviously, like we've had some of these big stocks like running up and up for a few weeks now. Like, honestly, it would just make some sense for people to start taking some profit.
Yeah. All right. So we have Iranical saying thoughts on Disney's earnings tomorrow. Total coin flip. No one knows what's going to happen with earnings, especially on Disney. Looking at their chart, they've been holding their ground for like the past couple months, but they really don't have any specific trend. So it's literally a coin flip. I hope they go up, but of course anything can happen. But I'll definitely have my eyes on them.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching them for sure. It's going to be very interesting. I'm really glad how they bounced off that support at like 168 to 170. Really glad to see them bounce off of that last week and early on this week. I think that was a very key move there for them. they do have that earnings coming up, which I think is going to obviously make the biggest factor for this one. But I feel like they have a pretty good chance to go up. But man, with the way earnings have been going, it's such a coin flip.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing, like, let's say you even had like the sales numbers for Disney or the EPS or whatever. That doesn't mean that the stock rise. And then, like, let's say the stock did rise and you did buy calls. You don't know that it's going to rise enough to make your calls like go green. Like, it has to beat the market's expectation, for the calls to be profitable. So it's like there's so many things that you have to hope to get right, and it's just like a losing game trying to predict earnings. So that's why, like, I really don't like to play them. And then sometimes, like we saw with Teladoc, you have the stock fall on earnings, and then the next day it rises up. So it makes it like extremely hard to trade for, whether you have calls, puts, or shares.
Yeah, could you imagine having Teladoc and imagine buying puts the day before that earnings came out? You would have been so happy during earnings, and then at market open the next day, you would have been so sad within those 20 seconds where it popped back up. Like, man, that was honestly a very crazy reversal. Like, I can't believe it happened that quickly either.
Yeah, crazy. All right, let's see. With the next comment, we have Matt saying Ford dipping along with everything else. Yeah, it's interesting to see because I know it's been doing pretty well, and yeah, it's definitely struggling.
Yeah, now I'll be honest, I've been waiting for a pullback with Ford here for a few days now. I think that they've been getting a little bit overextended ever since they passed above $18 and ran up to 20. But just like Tesla, obviously Tesla was getting overextended. I feel like a lot of these stocks were just kind of due for a pullback. So it's not really too surprising to me that they're kind of going down now. But in the end, they had very explosive moves. And whenever you start to move like Ford did from $13 straight up to 20, you just have to expect some type of move down, or even like Tesla with their crazy move lately, like you just have to expect some type of profit taking at some point.
Yep. All right, so let's see what we have moving. It's mainly just stocks to the downside. Palantir is now down 10%, unfortunately. Tesla's still struggling. I'm trying to see what opportunities we have right now. Of course, some short puts on stocks like DraftKings and Palantir are good. Maybe like a put debit spread on Tesla or something like that. I'm just trying to see, like, do you have like any setups you like right now, Tom? Like anything you're seeing?
Man, it's really tough. A lot of these stocks, unfortunately, today, honestly, the setups were looking pretty good early on, and then with everything that just happened over the past like 20 minutes with these stocks going down, it honestly kind of changed a lot of the setups right now. Like we can see DraftKings, the setup I feel like totally changed. We're down here by this $43 support. Maybe DraftKings will bounce off this support and start to go back up, but it's so tough. All these other stocks are flying down. So I don't know. I feel like we're at a tough point because all these stocks have just fallen down pretty significantly. The question is are they going to continue down today? I feel like there's definitely going to be some chop coming in at some point, but I don't know. It's so tough. Like even Twitter had a really bad turnaround, even Facebook, like all the metaverse stocks. I don't know, like I'll go through the stocks on my watch list that are green. Nvidia is still green at least, which is good. I actually have Dominion, Mike. Dominion Energy is green, which is interesting. I think if we look at /CL, crude oil is actually going green, but the crude oil stocks are red. So I don't know. Very mixed day. It's just a very tough. How about AbbVie? They're actually going green. Actually, ABBV is not looking too bad intraday, Mike, compared to most stocks, at least today.
True that. Someone mentioned PayPal. Okay, yeah. So we have G saying bought some PayPal puts printing. What do you think about that setup?
Man, I'll be honest. I was really eyeing up PayPal on support for some longer term shares, and I'm kind of glad I didn't buy them because they ended up tanking down below it. But I still feel like it would have been a good time to average in. I don't know. PayPal is going to be so tough. I like it for selling puts. I feel like there's going to be a big support around $175 to $200. If it doesn't consolidate there, I'll be pretty sad for PayPal in the longer term. But I really hope that they can consolidate around here. I don't like it for just puts right now intraday. It could be good for a quick momentum play, but keep in mind we're already down a lot today. We're down 12%. It could keep going, but I'll be honest, it's a pretty big move already. Personally, I would just look at maybe shorting some like some puts maybe at like the 180 strike or maybe at like the 175 strike, if you could get those, I feel like that would be the way to go, or just to maybe average into shares. But the only way I would trade puts is maybe for a very, very, very quick scalp.
Gotcha. All right, yeah, lots of stocks selling off, and that's really the main takeaway from today. A lot of them were looking good, and I was really watching Neo specifically. I know they have earnings extremely soon. It's actually today in after hours, so of course that can completely change things. But just sucks to see everything was looking so good and kind of just totally reversed. So yeah, it's crazy. But really, if we do see this continued sell-off, yeah, it sucks in the short term, but it just presents a great opportunity for the long term. So yeah, like Palantir's down what 9% today. Yeah, it sucks to see now, but it really just gives us a good buying opportunity. So should be good. I'm not really too worried about it. And you can say the same thing for a lot of setups right now. Like even if Neo tanks on earnings, right? You can always just buy more at a lower price and put yourself in a good position for the long term.
Yeah, and even if they go down, like they might not go down too much. Like they might, I don't think Neo will be back down towards like $30 or anything like that. It's definitely possible though, if the numbers are bad enough. But yeah, I feel like I'm with you. Like it always creates more opportunities if they end up going down even more. You can just short more puts, get in more shares at lower prices. Like, these guys, well, not, I shouldn't say guys nowadays, because I was going to say like Warren Buffett, but now I'm thinking more of like Kathy Wood and different people like this. As these stocks start to fall, a lot of these traders or I should say like these hedge fund managers and stuff, they love to buy up these shares. And, we always hear like whenever NIO was dipping last time, or I think it was Coursera maybe on the last dip, like we hear of Kathy Wood, like coming in and buying up some shares. And, we always hear of her doing it, or maybe some hedge funds and different stuff like that. And I feel like that those are pretty good times to follow along, I know like they're not always 100% correct with their timing and stuff, but if you hold those stocks for a year or so, it can really play out well. And, I've been talking to a lot of people in private chat lately about just buying some of these stocks and holding them for the longer term. Like obviously everyone wants to get into like AMC and GameStop and, BlackBerry, or, they want to make like 5,000% this year. But in the end, if you look at some of these like bigger stocks, like let's just pick AMD as a random example. Like if you just would have bought and held AMD from a year ago, you'd be up nearly 100% right now. You can pick a lot of stocks and say that, like obviously like Palantir and some that were at all-time highs could have been a little sus buying them up there at $45, kind of like AMC was. But in the end, a lot of these safer stocks, like if you would have got something safer like KO, Walmart, or something like that, generally you'll be doing pretty good right now.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, lots of opportunities. Even though the market's falling, shares would probably be the best way to go, though. So we have Mike saying, being new to options, are your advanced courses going to cover some basic materials as well? So yes, it's more focused on like advanced topics, but I definitely do cover like the basics, like the building blocks to understand the advanced topics. And with the advanced options course, like the best thing is if you need help, you have direct access to me. So worst come to worst, if you don't understand anything or if you need help, you basically just text me on Discord, and then I can definitely explain it to you. So there's definitely a lot of information in there, like even if you're not like super advanced just yet, to help you understand. And like I said, worst case scenario, you could just send me a message. So should be all good there. Great question, Mike. And then we have Rick saying, look at Laser, Lazr. How's that one looking?
I've never heard of this company, but this looks pretty crazy actually. The daily chart looks pretty bad. But I will say the momentum today looks awesome. I mean, it had that awesome move up today in pre-market all the way to $30. Now we opened down here at like 24, ran down to $21 now. I honestly don't even know what to think about this. This is a crazy move. I definitely need to see the news behind this one. I know they have earnings coming up pretty soon, but man, this is a crazy move. I just don't know what to think. It kind of reminds me of some of these other growth stocks like Palantir or some of the others. Like they had a really explosive move like at the beginning of this year, but then they just consolidated all year long and they're now starting to pop off. So I don't know. It's just a really weird setup to me.
Gotcha. All right, we have Gabriel saying Base is running, SPCE. They reported earnings yesterday, and wow, they had a pretty good reversal.
Yeah, they did actually. Their earnings, they ended up shooting up and then just consolidating. They ended up tanking down at market open today, believe it or not. And now they're flying. Like, I cannot believe that they're coming up this strong. I will be honest, their daily setup looks pretty decent. I feel like they have a pretty good gap to fill here between like 21.50 and $25. It's not my favorite play right now, but I feel like it's at a good time for shares, at least if you like it for the long term. It's right around longer term support, which is good. And there's a lot of upside potential. Just keep in mind, this company is all over the place. I'm definitely waiting for better space stocks to come out, but this stock can definitely run if it gets some good news.
Here we go. All right, so looking at everything, we basically covered the major movers. Palantir is still selling off, which kind of sucks. How are the China stocks doing? Because I know they were looking pretty good today, but it looks like they reversed.
Yep, they just fell down with everything else, it looks like. Unfortunately, a pretty bad reversal there on BABA. It looks like let's go check out like JD. JD looks like they're holding their ground a little bit better, but they definitely reversed as well. Baidu is definitely not doing good either. So yeah, the China stocks are not doing good. It looks like Queb is kind of consolidating. They had a pretty good day yesterday, and yeah, it's just definitely not looking good now with all this news. Let's go check out BYYD, I think, or man, I can't remember the ticker. BYYDF maybe? No, I can't remember it, but it was that Warren Buffett BYD stock. I know it has a really strange ticker though. It's another one of those China EV stocks, but man, unfortunately, I feel like just Tesla just really pulled the market around today. It was not a good day with that going on. And it really kind of sucks because that infrastructure bill came out yesterday and helped a lot of these stocks do good, kind of like Caterpillar. Like Caterpillar got a pretty good boost up off of that infrastructure bill. We saw stocks like BLNK have a nice move, and a lot of these stocks are now exhausting all of their gains. Like we can see Blink is down 10%. They pretty much lost that whole move from yesterday. Same thing with Caterpillar. They lost their whole move just about. It's just definitely a bad day today.
Yep, it looks like George said it was BYDDF.
BYDDF. Okay, that makes more sense. And wow, it looks like they actually made all-time highs this morning, and then now they kind of fell off with Tesla. So definitely crazy. But this is the EV stock that Warren Buffett likes, and I don't know. I haven't really paid too much attention to it, but it's just another one of those China. It's another China stock. We could say that at least.
Tom, I remember like us talking about it, and I think didn't he invest in like when it was like $5 or like less, or maybe like $3 or something? And I remember it was just like one of his like largest gains over the past couple years.
Yeah, it really was. Like honestly, like it was pretty off of the radar. I felt like lots of people have always talked about Tesla, NIO, Lucid, different stocks like that, but man, this company has been under the radar and they've been moving pretty well. Also, like it's not like it seems like they've honestly been moving pretty safely compared to a lot of these other stocks. Like Lucid has been going up and down pretty drastically. But this stock has been kind of moving a little bit safer, I will say. It hasn't been moving like Tesla with all-time highs, but hey, it's been going up slow and steadily. And I feel like for the longer term, it's going to do pretty well. And I've also heard pretty good fundamental numbers about this company as well. Like I said, I haven't looked into them too much, but I've been seeing some pretty decent articles coming out lately. And like you said, he definitely made a killing off of this one. He's been holding it for a while.
Yeah, so it looks like he bought into it in 2008, and
Wow.
he spent like $232 million in his like initial investment. Right now, it is worth over $6 billion.
Oh my gosh. Is that 100 million to 6 billion?
232 million to over 6 billion. Crazy.
Wow, what a crazy move there. What an investment, Hey, that goes to show you buying and holding can be a pretty good strategy in the longer term.
Especially when you're Warren Buffett.
Yeah, especially when you're him and you have 200 million.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's a crazy move. All right, so we have Ravi saying, "Coin, please." Coinbase, how's it looking?
Really good. Well, I was going to say good, but bad with the pullback here with Tesla, of course. They got those earnings coming up later today after market close. And hey, Bitcoin's been doing pretty good lately. So hopefully Coinbase can start to move up. I know that Like I said, Bitcoin's been moving to new highs and stuff. Let's go check out Bitcoin slash BTC. And of course, they're pulling back with Tesla too. Even Bitcoin's pulling back. But man, they were made new highs around 69K on the futures at least this morning. Like, what a crazy move to the upside. Definitely eyeing them up. They just keep running up on the daily chart, and definitely eye up Coinbase. With these cryptos making new highs, you would think Coinbase would do pretty good. It does worry me though a little bit how Robinhood fell on decreased volume, but in the end, I feel like Coinbase might do a little bit better.
Yep. All right, we have Vicky saying LAZR is the driverless business vehicle sensor partnered with a company that I don't remember the name. Yeah, I remember this one last year. They had some crazy hype. They're on my watch list, but I don't know. I don't love them as of now. Maybe I'll consider them for an investment, but I don't know. They just they haven't wowed me yet.
Yeah, they haven't really wowed me either. It's just at least it's starting to move up on the daily chart now. Like I said, the setup reminds me of almost like a Palantir or like a Corsair or something like that, and it's good to at least see it starting to pop off. And I will say it looks like a lot of the other growth stocks. So with it starting to go, hopefully it can start to move kind of like Plug did once it started to break out, and maybe we'll start to see a decent move finally.
True that. All right. Then we have Matt saying HON is the only blue chip I have on watch running up right now. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's nice to see it. It's nice to see that it's green on a day where basically everything else is red.
Yeah, that is actually a really nice thing. And looking at it on the 5 minute, well, it is starting to pull back now, but I was going to say it was starting to pop off there for the past like couple of seconds. And man, it just, I don't know, this stock's been kind of crazy. Like it's been trying to make new all time highs, but I don't know. It's just, for me, Mike, it's not my favorite stock, but I love it for the longer term, at least for the max weekly. It looks pretty solid. And like you said, it's doing really good today, despite everything else going red.
All right, then we have Rick saying my whole watch list flushed. I don't know to buy or wait a little. It never hurts to buy the dip. Especially if they're solid companies. But yeah, like even if it's just a little bit, it probably won't hurt. But then again, it depends what's on your watch list. So keep that in mind. And then yeah, Vicky said Laser is owned by a 26-year-old guy. I remember that. I kept seeing a bunch of articles last year. It was like one of the youngest billionaires or something like that. But yeah, that's awesome to see. And like I said, I'll keep it on my watch list. But again, I didn't really make any moves with it just yet. So yeah, I mean that's the main thing. Tom, do you have any like last minute stocks or any last minute info for the day?
Man, there's not really too many major setups right now. I'm really going to be eyeing up DraftKings, of course, as they keep going down. Obviously, I feel like they're going to be a pretty good thing to average into here over the next couple of weeks. Lucid, I feel like could be a good pickup if they start to fall down enough. It's a really tough day today. Unfortunately, lots of stuff's going down. Neo, I feel like could also be a good longer term pickup. I feel like today is a pretty good day to maybe start to buy some dips. If you guys are scared of missing the boat on some of these stocks that have been recovering up the past couple of weeks, like NIO or even like Corsair or some of those stocks, I feel like it's going to be a good time for that. But for most plays right now today, it's unfortunately, I feel like a good day for puts or possibly trying to maybe get what I would say, when I mean puts, I mean more of like some quicker scalp plays. So definitely eyeing up, maybe some stocks like obviously Tesla is a big one with the way they've been going down with Elon Musk news. That could possibly be a good scalp play today. Palantir's dying off. They could be a good scalp if they break their support around $24. And unfortunately, we're just seeing lots of stocks go down. So I will be eyeing up lots of plays to the downside. Even like AMD and Nvidia, they've been flying up so much on the daily chart. Like I feel like that people are just starting to take some profits. Like we definitely saw it happen back in like the beginning of August. They made new all-time highs. They ran up for like 5 or 6 days, and then they had a pretty good pullback, you could say. So I'm definitely going to be eyeing up a little bit of a pullback here on some of these stocks that have been running.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining today's stream. Lots of interesting movement to say the least, and we have some pretty big earnings and after hours today, so it should get pretty fun. But again, thank you guys so much for joining, and have an amazing day.